it's so nice to, go with someone else's concept and creativity and really work with them on that and then get these beautiful images, of course. Yeah, I think it does play a big role in building relationships and also just saying yes to opportunities that come your way, because I think that's a big part of being an entrepreneur and saying, yeah, these are the people I want to link arms with and build our businesses together.
Welcome to the Coast Podcast. I'm Emily, a virtual assistant agency owner who left Amazon in 2019 to build my dream.
And I'm Whitney, a freelance writer and communications consultant who never felt at home in a cube farm.
We wanted to learn from people who paved their own ways like we did. So we created this podcast to talk to others who were brave enough to pick a different path. Creatives, entrepreneurs, people doing their careers and their lives their way.
Join us as we make new friends, get inspired, and show you beautiful paths less traveled.
Not every road leads to the coast, but the ones that do come with a great view.
Hello and welcome back to the Coast. My name is Whitney Popa and I own a boutique copywriting agency in Edmonds, Washington, along with a publishing house also based in Edmonds. Check out my website, soft launch. We'll hard launch it soon. And yeah, a lot of businesses.
So many businesses. My name is Emily Given, and I am the CEO and founder of She's a Given, which is a virtual assistant agency also based in Linwood, Washington, Seattle area. And today we are chatting with Hannah, and I'm so excited. We met Hannah at an event last month or 2 months ago called Create and Connect, where local business owners come together to get content. And it was a really great event. And we just we're so drawn to Hannah. To her confidence and the energy that she exudes is just incredible. And I can't wait for you to meet her. All that to say, I'm going to do a formal introduction on Hannah. Hannah Fuchigami is the founder of Rhubarb Co., a creative house specializing in well-designed marketing and events, which includes their in-house brand, Picnic Party Seattle. Picnic Party has now grown to include cities nationwide, has been featured in publications such as the Wall Street Journal, Seattle Times, and Sunset Magazine. Hannah loves living in West Seattle and supporting small businesses showing up with courage and creativity.
Yes, yes. This is why we loved her. Yeah.
So official. Thank you. You were too kind.
I mean, it's so true, though.
We were trolling you at the event too, and we're like, oh my God, you had it in your bio. You were in all these fancy places. And we're like, oh, she's doing it.
I got advice a while ago, when we were first starting out, that you need to put something that gives you credibility in your Instagram bio. So then that's what happened. That's what I did.
I think it's really great.
But you also had to have that be true. And
for sure.
Those things are true. And that's amazing. Yeah. Pop-up picnics, I feel like, are having a moment. Now that, Emily, did you know about Rhubarb Co.? We need to investigate
I did not know, but now we know. And I just looked at their website. As I do, I always creep on websites during this podcast because, my ADHD does not allow me to do one thing.
If you had a free 15-minute consult, she would have signed up for that already. No matter what it is.
That may be true about me. That is correct.
That's amazing.
Okay. Tell us more about Rhubarb Co. and more about Picnic Party Seattle.
Yes. Okay. Rhubarb Co. is the original business I started. And it was 2020. I'm working in corporate marketing. Everything, shuts down, goes work from home. I loved my team. Things got rearranged. It just wasn't quite the same anymore. And I would go on these walks around my neighborhood. I lived in the Central District of Seattle and just listen to podcasts, probably much like yours, with other women who were creatives or entrepreneurs. I listened to books on tape and I just felt something in me oh my goodness, I need to do something. If you've ever just felt that hunger or just so full of inspiration, you're like, I got to do something. So that's where Rhubarb Co. was born from. And it was the idea of like, how do we bring people together in a time where it felt so isolated? And so I was really drawn to that idea. And I was like, okay, what do I have to offer in this space? And I didn't really know. And I was like, okay, you know, I know marketing, so I can do some of that. I'm kind of the event planner of my friend group, so I guess I could do some of that. And then it kind of evolved naturally into this idea of pop-up picnics because it was my roommate's birthday at the time, like a couple months in. And I was like, okay, we got to celebrate. She's a big birthday person. We got to do something. But there's three of us. So what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
And started looking at things. And I saw, these beautiful fancy picnics on Pinterest and just popping up. And there wasn't anyone in Seattle that was doing it. I think there was like one company in LA at the time. And so I was like, okay, maybe there's something there. And I started the Instagram handle. I just grabbed it because I was like, maybe someday I'll do something with this. And then a couple weeks later, I get a call and they're like, hey, I found your Instagram. Like, you do the picnics, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
And that's how the first picnic was booked. And then I was
That
like,
is
okay,
amazing.
now I need to like go out and get a table and pillows. And what else do you need for a picnic?
And
I was
a
like,
minivan.
okay. Yes, and
Yeah.
a minivan. Luckily, my parents had a minivan that they were willing to let me use. So it just happened that way. And my mom,
I was going to say, tell us how your mom got involved because your mom does this with you too.
she does. Yes, I am super lucky to have her be involved. And she had been working at a preschool for about 20 years as the assistant director, and she had filled in for director at certain points. And then her job also went to part-time because of COVID, or not also, but it went to part-time. And so she had some extra time. She was looking at, okay, what I need to make a little bit of extra money. What am I going to do? And I was like, okay, mom, what if we did this thing, these picnics? And our pricing at the very beginning makes me laugh because I think everyone has this moment of you realize you're way undercharging. But I was like, mom, we could make $75 each if we like do this thing,
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. And she was totally down to help out. And yeah, she signed up for something that I don't think she had any idea that she'd still be involved for years later, but here we are. And I'm super grateful to have her.
And what we didn't say too, it's amazing that your mom is helping, but Hannah was at this event in heels, like up flights of stairs and drilling wood, like in a dress and carrying heavy wood. And we were like, can we help? And then also not totally helping because I don't know, we couldn't help a ton because I'm like, my makeup. But then I was just watching. Let me be helpful in the ways that I can be helpful and just like, take some videos, even though Patrice is already doing that. You can never have too much content. We all know that. But I was like, who is this beautiful, like, glamazon carrying wood and a tool bag and then drilling things in front of us? We need to know her. And then we were just like whispering to each other, you were building a new set that you had. That first picnic, what was the scope and what did you have that you brought? And I'm sure it was beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
But were you freaking out?
So the scope it was like 2 people for their anniversary, which we still do a ton of, but it was like, we didn't even do full place settings. It was like this little tiny table, which now we use like on the side sometimes to hold some extra stuff. Like little tiny plates. We didn't even do, yeah, it was just so simple and really sweet. I mean, I look at it and I'm still like, oh, that's really cute. Like, I would like that. But just totally different in terms of scope and scale. And I feel like once I kind of got into the industry a little bit more. And when I say the industry, I mean like event planning and rentals and kind of seeing what was happening in events and weddings. We're able to kind of find our footing a little bit more in that industry and have compete a bit and kind of really make a mark. But I look back at that first one and I'm like, but it's so pure. It's so cute. We were like trying to include food in all of them. So we would always be like, okay, what do you want? Like, I'm out here at the grocery store, like buying cans of Stumptown iced coffee for them, just like really sweet personal touches, which we try to then translate some of that personal attention, of course, into what we still do now. But
what's like a typical week look like for you? What are you willing to take on as far as 2 picnics, setup, breakdown, dealing with people, weather?
Oh my gosh. Yes. There was an article actually in the Wall Street Journal, funny enough, that was like pop-up picnic planners become extreme weather watchers because it's so true. Like it impacts everything that we do. And we have to be kind of that like calm presence for our clients. So weather is a big one that we're watching. And
can you put like a tent over it if you had to?
yes, we have our clear bubble tents, which we love because we can also then do picnics in the winter. And they're really like cozy and warm and fun. And then, for bigger events, you can always do canopies and whatnot. My biggest nemesis is the wind because then tents are a lot harder and just like, everything is harder in the wind. But yeah, a typical week, gosh, in the summer, we'll do anywhere from, maybe we'll only have a few events, but they're bigger, up to 10 or 12 sometimes we've had in a week. And
do you have a team other than you?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
yeah. So
cool.
I have
and your mom, but
yep.
still good.
Yep.
You have a team.
There's a team of 5 of us. And yeah, our summertime is obviously our busiest season because everyone wants to be out and about and celebrating. But in the winter, even we hope to do at least a couple events a week.
Since you're a marketing girly and you are doing well on your marketing, I would love to know, like, from the beginning, how you were thinking about that. Do you, in your communication with your clients, or I don't know if you think it's tacky. I feel like I could go either way on that. Do you have signage that says tag us so that you are getting like content and things that you can use to just keep the momentum going? What does it look like for you for the marketing/client experience there where you're helping them become ambassadors for you?
Yeah. So from the beginning, I knew that so much of it, like you said, was going to be about like the content creation and obviously getting people just to see what we do because people didn't really know what a pop-up picnic was. I think a lot of people still don't, or a luxury picnic. They're like, can't really envision it if you've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So getting those photos and that content made is a super important part. And also just visually like other channels. So initially we're on King 5 News and that was like a big deal for us because that's kind of how we started that first summer and got more people to know who we were because I didn't do any paid ads or anything like that. And now we don't have like signs, but we do have a little postcard at your picnic that has like some contact info and like some details. And on there, it's, we'd love to see, please tag us.
Yeah. Classy.
And so it's not a huge ask because some people, they don't want to share and that's totally fine. Or they're just private on Instagram. And I'm like, darn, can't reshare. But yeah, that is a big piece for us.
What about like styled shoots and things? What's your relationship with those? Because I have a lot of friends who are in the industry and they talk a lot about that and how they're always navigating. I was with a friend a week or so ago, Megan from Twisted Bramble. She's a florist and she was saying, I only sign up for like proactively help to plan and sign up for one styled shoot. I know can help their businesses a lot, but it's expensive for you from a marketing standpoint because she's, paying for all the florals and her time and then potentially not doing an event that day. And usually they do them on a weekday where it's not as wild for them. But I hadn't even considered that, and I know that they get asked a lot too. And then they have to decide, okay, is this worth it to me? Mental process for you in that, like, do styled shoots?
Yeah, we do. And funny enough, I'm working with Megan on a styled shoot next week.
Oh,
So maybe
amazing.
by the time this episode comes out, we will have just collabed.
That's wait, did you know Megan before this?
No, we just happened. So I think we know the planner who's putting it on. So
I love Megan. We love Megan. We love
so
Megan.
fun.
She's been on the podcast, and her parents live like right down the street from where I am right now.
And she did the florals for our holiday party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what she makes because the concept, I don't want to spoil it, but it'll be really pretty. So yes, we do styled shoots. I think the benefit of a styled shoot is obviously, like, for us, it's a lot of the professional photography and then also building relationships with other vendors, which are huge because, those are going to be your friends, your advocates, and everything. For us, it's slightly different than maybe a traditional florist or event rental or planner because we do a lot of those things in-house because our model is a little bit different because it's like, we don't just do planning. We don't just do rentals. Like when you book with us, we kind of do everything in-house because it's that smaller scale event. So we can essentially, every event we do is pretty much all our work anyways. So we can kind of showcase when we want to. But of course, it's so nice to, go with someone else's concept and creativity and really work with them on that and then get these beautiful images, of course. Yeah, I think it does play a big role in building relationships and also just saying yes to opportunities that come your way, because I think that's a big part of being an entrepreneur and saying, yeah, these are the people I want to link arms with and build our businesses together. Yeah, I think that's always a great thing.
I love that way of thinking about it. Like linking arms. That's so true. It's so funny. We were doing an event a month or so ago and we wanted to include Megan. And remember the flower crowns, Emily? We were like, do you do flower crowns?
Yeah,
and she was like, no. And then we were like, oh, we want to like give you the business. Do you do the flowers for the flower crowns? And she was like, and no. And we're like, okay, our intention is to support you in your business, but it seems like you don't need this or want this. Is that accurate? And she was like, thank you, but no. And so we're always trying to support our friends, and like we linked arms with her. She's the first person that we would think of, but we also want to be like, thoughtful and aware of what she wants to. And she was great at saying, yeah, I draw the line at flower crowns.
I love that. That's the boundary. No flower crown.
And I think she's in that process too. Like, even as you said, as entrepreneurs too, like we're always reassessing, reevaluating, creating and reaffirming our boundaries. And that's really hard because you're coming in as a human too. And I always say this, as women, it's double hard for us because we're like kind of cultured and conditioned against doing this for ourselves or having boundaries. And so it's this even harder process where as soon as Megan was clear, this is not something I'm trying to do. I don't thank you, but I don't want this business. We're like, oh, okay, got it. We want to make sure that we're being supporters in that way too. And the entrepreneurial world is very much, at least in my experience, putting yourself in your face. And so I'm always doing personal work to make sure that I'm the best for myself, my business, my clients, my team, all of it. And you don't realize that at first. I'm wondering too, because it sounds like you kind of backed into your business like I did, where you're like, oh, I have this time, I'll just create this thing. Has that been challenging for you in any ways? Like I just didn't even realize like I was going to be faced with myself so much in this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been like seasons of things that get challenging, and then there's like overarching challenges that are just always kind of going to be like the battle that like I'm up against or you're up against or and so for me a lot of times that's like balancing time, as maybe you two can relate to, I'm guessing, when you want to show up for your friends and your family and all of these things, and everyone wants their events on nights and weekends. So how do I build a business that is sustainable and hopefully profitable when I have to also live a life and invest in the things that are really important to me? And I don't know, I'd love to hear how you're doing that, Whitney. You said you have to work a lot kind of on yourself and maintain those things so that you can show up as the best version of you. How do you do that?
It's a great question. I like I said, I think it's always a work in progress, and I've become very, Megan, intense about my boundaries. There's a place where the pendulum swings back and forth, where you realize that you've been people pleasing and sacrificing yourself, and then resentment comes in and you're wondering why. And once I identified I had boundaries, but I wasn't enforcing them or holding true to them, that's when I swung the pendulum back pretty hard of kind of over indexing on how intense I was with my boundaries of no. And now I feel less like I have to explain what it is that I'm doing. But even little things like I have a friend who she's done a boundary workshop. She's been on the podcast too, Michelle Mather. She has in her email signature her working hours. And I know it's kind of a movement now for people to be like, my working hours might not look like your working hours. If you're receiving this email outside of that time, blah, 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 do what you want. But she just has in her email signature her hours, like 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday. And I love that. And also, I've been delegating more like in my life and my business. So Emily runs a virtual assistant agency. I use one of her assistants. The more comfortable I get with that, the more I outsource in all these things. And I'm at this place where now I have another business and I'm thinking, what are the things that only I can do? And where can I be the only one that shows up? Like, I want to be the one who shows up to pick up my kids from school. That's not something I'm going to outsource. So what gives in that moment? And just being like really honest. I think for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, Emily, but I've said this a lot too. The more embodied I get, the more comfortable I am in who I am, the fewer excuses I feel like I have to make for my decisions in my life. And so I say the things that other people don't say or that I haven't been used to like being safe for me. And I just decide that I am safe in saying that. No, like today, for example, my son was supposed to wear a literary character outfit to school. I didn't know that. I thought it was on Thursday because he's doing some reading, and I don't feel bad about missing it because it's not my thing. It's not my job. And when he gets into the car today and he's mad at me for it, we're going to have a conversation about whose job is what. And I am sorry because right now he's 7. He's not totally capable, but I've come up with a plan of how I want to navigate these things moving forward. So it's not on me. I don't have guilt around it. Kind of a bummer. It sucks. But to answer your question, I just decide the things that are my job and are not my job. And then I hold firm to that and allow myself to reassess along the way. So every Sunday night, I look at my week ahead. I rewrite my to-do list. I cancel meetings that aren't relevant and I don't feel bad about it. And things change and I allow them to, but I always have to go back to what are my values? What am I doing this for? What's the most important thing? And then building around that. And I'm getting better at outsourcing the things that I can't do, which is also a little bit of a dance because you're like, I still have to have the money to pay these people to do these things. But yeah, I think it's an ever present journey. It's just that's why the personal work is so important because the more I like love me and am true to me, then the rest kind of falls into place.
Mhm. Yeah. And what do we do when we get pushback on some of that? Like those boundaries that you are feeling like, hey, this is what I'm saying. This is right for me. What do you do when, maybe that teacher or that, that other parent or whoever it is criticizes that? What happens? How do you reconcile that?
For me, I take a second and I absorb what they're saying. I'm trying to be a better listener, like an active listener instead of getting defensive. And then I make decisions about, this isn't going to change. Like this happened. There is no change there. That's where I used to fail, was in the pushback, because I would get pushed enough where I was like, clearly they care enough to keep pushing this. And it's harder, or it's more annoying to keep fighting about this, like being conflict averse. So I would just give in, but then I sacrificed myself and I would really resent that. And so I ask myself in all situations all the time, even if I'm at the airport and traveling, how can I support myself the best in this moment? How can I love myself the most right now? And if it's taking a beat to get back to them with a proposed solution, then that's it. But usually I just hold firm to, I can understand how it would feel that way. This is where I'm at and what I'm doing. I don't know. What do you have to add, Emily? You've been pretty good about boundaries, to the point where one of our shared clients was like, she doesn't work after 5. We can't have that.
What? Who? What?
Larry and Lou, they were like, we need to have her available
Oh,
after
yeah.
5.
Absolutely not. I just,
I love that.
no, I don't even I'm to the point now where my laptop doesn't even come because I have a shed. I'm in the office shed. It's in my backyard.
Mhm.
I don't even bring my laptop in the house.
And my business is different. Like a lot of my clients, their businesses are their side businesses, and so I'm working during the day and after hours, and I move my schedule around to accommodate my life, not the other way around. There can be scope creep and a little bit of boundary bleeding sometimes, but if I'm not available, I don't answer the phone. But I only have one client that's like that.
And I am to the extreme, and I literally do not answer the phone, even if I am available on principle. You must schedule meetings with me.
Your business is different too. Yeah.
It is different, but I don't mess around with that because you let them do it once and they'll keep doing it. I don't text my clients. I don't call.
Oh,
I don't call my clients. If they need to get a hold of me, I will send them my calendar link and they will self-schedule. I do not, and it's all been very good because it's been like that from the beginning. But I'm not the kind of person where you can just I will never say, call me anytime.
No,
That is not a thing that I do.
We do not do unlimited revisions here. Like you email me in the middle of the night, like that's fine for you. I'm available when I say I'm available. The thing about pushback is it's a test and it's awkward until it's not. And it's just a practice.
I think the key is setting boundaries before it gets to that point too.
Yeah.
The nature of an assistant is that you're relying on someone for help. A lot of the times people are like, what if I need help on a weekend or in the middle of the night? And I'm like, our assistants work in your time zone from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They'll respond to your email within 2 hours, but that doesn't necessarily mean that work is getting done in 2 hours. They could be working when they put their kid to bed or on their lunch break. And so it'll be done in the next 24 business hours generally. So I set that up when they're first interviewing us so they know. And I say, if you need someone to jump when you say jump, sure, you pay for full-time support, 40 hours a week. And then if you need weekend or evening hours, which I had someone request, hey, I need someone to work weekends and holidays. I'm like, great, it's going to be double time on holidays because I have to pay an assistant a lot of money to work on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it was too much, but sorry, what are you expecting? So I think really setting boundaries before again, Whitney said, be true to yourself in all the stages of, but especially when you're building your business, what's important to you, what do you value? And a lot of the times we bend boundaries because of scarcity, right? Mindset, like, oh, if we don't like respond to that client right away, like they won't want to work with us anymore. But it's no, if we're true to ourselves, true to our values, we will attract the clients that have those same values.
Mm-hmm. I'd even do it like for your business, and I don't know what you do now, Hannah, but like as far as communication with them, like telling them on some of those intro meetings, kickoff calls, or even, and sending them a sheet after of this is what you can expect, like the days leading up to your party, the day of. I'm sure you do that already. And then like communication after the fact, are they expecting you to be close by, like while they're having their picnic, like creeping on them? Do they expect, or not even do they expect, you're setting the expectations of this is how this is going to go. Here's where I'll be. Here's how you can get a hold of somebody who is there an emergency capacity within that, just so that you're hedging any questions before they even get to that point. Because I would imagine too, I mean, we live in a techie area. There's a lot of very literal tech people who are paying a lot of money for a fancy picnic and they want what they want when they want it. And then you're like, wait, but I'm not your on-call picnic girl. I'm just thinking out loud, which is why I would probably have learned the hard way at first because you don't know up front. And then I'd have a few instances where I'd be like, all right, here's my FAQ and here's your day of sheet and here's your expectations guide. We're all going to sign this.
Totally. Yes. I feel, especially in business, because we all have clients and it's like clients are what we live and die by from our business. But what was really helpful for me was to think about, okay, if I think this is a sticky note rule or something. If I can think of the 5 people in my life that I actually would accept genuine feedback from of, hey, you can speak into my life and say, hey, I don't think what you're doing is quite right here, or you need to make some adjustments here. There's probably no more than 5 people in anybody's life who you're really going to be oh, take that really seriously. And on the flip side of it, these are the people that I really want to make proud of me. So maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your best friend or your mom or whoever those people are. And if you can make those people proud, both in personal and I think it works in business, that just takes some of the pressure off of trying to please everybody all the time. That's kind of helpful for me to think about.
I like that. I like that visual. Okay, I have a logistics question for you. What's the biggest picnic that you can throw? Asking for my own personal.
So it kind of depends on what you mean by picnic. If it is our luxury picnic setup, with all of the place settings and everything that you kind of see, we typically cap it at about 40 people. We can go bigger.
I can work with 40.
But 40 is a good max for us. We've done a lot of corporate events that go bigger than that because they're not doing the full place setting. So a couple weeks ago, we just did a happy hour for Amazon and they, I think, had 75 people there because it was more of a cocktail style, lounge. Everyone is up and down and moving around. And so it's not, here's your place setting, sit here for an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's, hey, it's happy hour. There's lawn games and there's picnics and there's, whatever.
That's so cool. I kind of want to do one for my birthday.
It's really big.
Yeah.
75 is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We've done 200. We've done, and then of course we do events that are kind of not totally just picnic stuff. We have someone that we're talking to right now that has a vision for an 800 to 1,000 person event.
Wow.
And it's not going to be a picnic, but just it's what are you going to say yes to? What's in kind of the scope and how do we want to change our business model and evolve with what our clients ask for? And one of the girls on my team loves planning. And so it's okay, that might be a awesome opportunity for her to just be the lead planner on this event. That could be great. So
I think that's so cool.
And we talk a lot about running intuitive businesses too. And what I love is so many of us get presented with things. I think all of us have been presented with things where it's like, oh, that would be an amazing thing to add to my business that I hadn't even considered. And so let's try it. Let's do it. I mean, my business became a business because somebody asked me to create it. And I had always wanted to, but I wouldn't have. And so I really think the universe has our back that way. And we'll get these challenges. And it's really just Emily and I try to keep each other accountable too of there will be shiny objects where we're like, but do I really want it? Does it feel good to me? And even not knowing why the money could be right, it could sound right, but you don't like that person or not that you don't like them.
Yeah.
There's something like energetically repellent and you're just like, I don't know why this isn't right for me, and trying to do a good job of just saying no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
and
because it is
trusting
an
it.
opportunity or even just because it's a good opportunity doesn't mean it's like the right opportunity for you.
Totally.
And I'm a big just say yes and figure it out type of person. But yeah, that has, gotten me distracted a few times and then I reflect on that and I'm like, dang, like maybe I didn't need to do all that. So yeah.
There's a fine line too between, oh, I can do that versus I want to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
like
totally.
we can do so many things. Like we could do whatever we wanted to.
Yeah.
We can learn anything we want to, but it's really, does that align with my priorities and my values and what I want for my life and my business? And sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like an ego piece of it too. I think, especially as when I was starting out, as people would come to me with things, I just wanted to say yes to prove that I could and like maybe get over some insecurity of, is this even a real business? Do I have that much to offer? And so that was kind of driving me to say yes to a lot of things or like kind of slip into more of the people pleasing mode, which I think is, it's not all bad because certainly there's opportunities that come from that and like lessons learned and growing, but that's not the way to the sustainability and the long-term kind of growth and vision that we all have for our life and our business.
Totally. To that end, before we get into the rapids, what is your vision for Picnic Party Seattle right now?
Yes. Right now, it is about giving people the easiest way to throw a party that's visually stunning. And the pieces are kind of like still coming together of what that truly means. But I've noticed that the events industry can be quite confusing for people and also just a little bit gatekept. And I don't think it's intentional. Like it's not, I don't mean to throw anyone or anything under the bus, but I think it's just like, if you don't know, you don't know. I didn't know when I started this business. And so there's like event planners and event rentals and florals and caterers and event management and event design. And what are all of these things doing and how do they all work together? And for a lot of people, they don't need all of those things. And so what we're trying to do is make it super simple to throw an event because a lot of events follow the same kind of formula. Every event should be focused on the people, I believe, and that's what makes it a really great event because people get to come together and connect. But if you're worried so much about the logistics and, oh, I'm missing, 2 chairs and I need 25 napkins or whatever, then you don't get to focus on the people. And so we want to take care of the logistics and making sure that you'll have a beautiful, stunning event that you can be proud of without spending months poring over those little decisions. We want to say, hey, here's our picnic package, or here's our seated dinner party package. Here you go. And you can customize it and you can make it look how you want it to look and you can choose your theme and whatever. But now you then can focus on what really matters, which is the people that are going to be sitting around the table.
Yeah, I love that. Taking care of the pretty things so you can focus on what matters, which you're right, like the connections, and there's so much conversation. A lot of my clients, my business started with Sur La Table, and it was all about that, like gathering people around a table. The most important times and decisions happen around a table, and there's so much beauty in sharing a moment, a meal, and all of that. And you're really contributing to that in this like super beautiful way that we love. So I'd love to ask you some rapids. They can be as rapid as you want them to be. That's your definition.
Okay.
What are you proudest of in your business right now?
A great question. I think right now I'm proud of our team. I'm onboarding 2 interns for the summer, and it just feels like we're in a good flow, and we feel like a real team. I think in the past I've made some different choices of, teams of different sizes or trying to do all sorts of different things to varying levels of success. And I think right now it feels really good to have the team that we have.
Yeah, that's helpful for me too, because I'm in the team building process and I had been resistant to it. And it wasn't until I met Emilie and then years later after meeting Emilie that I got okay with the idea of, okay, other people can do what I do and I can trust them and I can make them client facing and I can work on the business versus being so in it every day. So hearing that is very validating to me. Tell us about a book you read or a podcast you listened to recently that changed the way you're thinking about your life or your business.
Ooh, let's see. Okay. This is like bringing me all the way back to 2020. So this is not recent, but it just had me thinking about it as we were talking about the origins of the business. And I read the Magnolia story with Chip and Jo.
Yes.
If you are familiar, of course. And that was like one of the books that really inspired me. But I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, it just reminded me how unglamorous it can be. And it is. And I think having the vision of you can build something really big but it might not happen for a long time. That's okay. Or you can have some vision that completely changes 5 years down the road. I think pivoting is so important and being able to involve the people that you want to involve. I think they're so cute because, they just have different personalities that work off of each other. And so whether that's a spouse or someone else in your life, like having them complement your skills and your dreams and in your business is great.
Mm-hmm. What would your last meal be, like before you die?
Before I die, probably sushi. Yeah.
Any particular?
No.
Just a whole spread of
A
sushi.
whole spread. Yeah, that would be nice, I think.
Have you been to, oh my gosh, what's my favorite sushi place in West Seattle? I'm going to look at, yes.
I actually have not been there and I've been like kicking myself for it for a while.
Oh my gosh.
I'll go.
Yeah, the limeade and the lemonade rolls are my favorite. They have these little tiny slices of lemon and you have to do his omakase.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had omakase there and it's so fun.
Yeah.
We did one in Roosevelt and my mom was like, how do you make it stop? But yeah, Mashiko, amazing. You have to go.
Yeah. And they do some really cool stuff with sustainability and yeah.
This is your sign.
Great.
What's the
on the list?
Best business purchase you've made in the last 6 months under $100?
Ooh, last 6 months under $100. Probably some tablecloths. It's like so unexciting, but it's great. Oh, okay. I changed my answer. We have a cottagecore kind of theme look going on. And my mom is the queen of thrifting. And so she found like some really cute China vintage plates with like butterflies on them and scalloped edges. And they're just perfect, right? But the problem with thrifting is that you can only get so many.
A certain number of,
5 of them or 6 of them. And we're definitely going to need more of these. And then one day I was like, maybe I'll stop into Goodwill. Sure.
You found them.
And I found like 8 more. And that was
That's amazing.
very
Emily,
exciting.
they're ready for your birthday party.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I want a birthday party.
Yeah. When's your birthday?
July 18th.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, I know. I'm like a Thursday evening would be good.
If you have any hummingbird cottagecore,
Ooh,
that's her vibe.
I'm a
great. I'll have to
hummingbird.
look. A
Yeah.
hummingbird. I love it. Did you hear the album that just came out? Do you like country music? There's an
No.
album called Hummingbird. Okay.
I really don't.
I'll
but-
listen to it and report to
Okay.
Emily because I
Okay.
love country.
Okay.
She's an R&B big fan.
Yeah.
Love it.
All of her reels has it's like all the 90s, early 2000s R&B. She's I don't know if that's just what automatically shows up as suggested audio for her at this point. It's like Casey and JoJo.
That's amazing. I love that about
I
you.
am who I am.
Yeah. Never change.
Elder millennial here.
Not as elder as me. And I'm not using the R&B tracks. I'm using like mashups. I'm a remix. I'm cool. Remix
I
person.
am not cool, and I'm okay with not being cool.
What?
One of my interns we started making some TikToks together, and she's suggesting these concepts, which are great, but there are like boss intern TikToks, and I'm just realizing my irrelevance of, just fading more and more.
Yeah, get ready.
Yeah.
The first time, like when I met my husband, I still thought I was the youngest person at the bar. And I was 24. And I was like, oh, I'm not still the youngest person. And even like at the checkout stand now, I'm used to it now, but I'm like, dang, like the number that they're asking for, like the year for IDs to buy things, I'm like, that feels like,
It's 2000.
yeah. Well, it's past
it's a lot.
2000. It's like
Yeah.
2000.
2003.
It's like when I graduated high school.
So crazy.
What's lighting you up lately, Hannah?
Gardening,
Mm.
which is so fun because this is the first year that my husband and I have been in our house, and because we went through this big remodel process, long story. Anyways, we moved in last fall, and so this is the first like spring and summer that we're doing, and he's a realtor, so he has a like wonky schedule, as do I. And so any kind of free moment we get, we're like out there planting stuff. We've spent way too much money at the nursery. We're just
There's
like
a good one
trying
in
it
West
all.
Seattle, yeah.
There's a great one in West Seattle.
Very expensive. I got my tomatoes there last year.
Yeah. How did they do?
Great, because they give you a lot of advice. They're like,
Yeah.
you better not plant these until it's 50 degrees overnight,
right.
every night.
That's right. That's right. So
I don't grow anything. I kill literally everything. So
that's okay. I might I could report back to you in a couple weeks and be like, nothing survived. Hopefully that's not the case because we've spent a lot of time and money on this project. So hopefully we have a thriving garden, but it also could not work. And then we have to try again next year.
Yeah. It's funny because then you'll do the math. You're like, oh, this is like a $4 tomato, but hey, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
For the experience, you know?
Exactly.
The last question we stole from Rainn Wilson's podcast. What's one life experience everyone should have?
One life experience that everyone should have. Having a good friend.
Oh my gosh, that's so pure.
I think everyone should have that.
I agree. Oh my gosh.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
We love
makes me
you,
want to
Hannah.
cry.
It makes all the difference in the world, right? Like I was like last night talking to friends going through hard times, today gonna go have dinner with someone celebrating something. So it's just such a life force, and everyone should have a good friend.
That is so true. I tell my son that too. Like, you just need one really good one.
Yeah.
Mine sent the flower truck to my house after a florist opened in town that had a flower truck, like the cutest old school flower truck. And I was like so desperate for the flower truck to come to my house. And I thought my husband sent it. And then when the flowers came and they were from her, I like bawled my face off because I was like, oh my God, you love me. Like, my husband doesn't even do this for me because they don't understand. I mean, they die though. You really want me to spend that much money when I could be investing in a stock for you? And I'm like,
You're like, yes.
Sometimes, I know I say no most of the time, but like, she sent the flower truck. So you're right. I'm going to cry now. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Picnic Party Seattle on Instagram and on TikTok and see me embarrass myself with my intern.
So cute.
And picnicpartyseattle.com or picnicparty.com/Seattle. We have both, might as well.
And you serve not just Seattle, right?
So yeah, we serve pretty much the whole, as far as you want us to go. We've gone out to Lake Crescent. We've gone out to Cle Elum.
Dang.
Down to, I don't know, Mount Rainier and of course Tacoma and Lakewood. Yeah. That's where you can find us.
Thank you for being here, Hannah. We just adore you so much.
Oh my gosh, you are too kind. And I'm so glad that we met at that event and I get to know you and be your friend.
I cannot wait for you to do my birthday party. I will contact you soon.
I'm going to look at I got to get some more hummingbird inventory is what this conversation
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, hummingbirds are beautiful, so.
There's a good chance that there's a hummingbird on there somewhere.
Send me a picture.
I will.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you, Hannah. We will be back with you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.